maybe. And here we are. Yes. Hello, everybody. Welcome to NAP News Now. We are so excited to have these wonderful friends from NAPA UK. Hello,
Yes.
everybody, and welcome to the meeting. And don't forget to join us by typing in the chat box so that we can enter you into the raffle. So take it away, Colleen. Colleen Knutson, our International Development Director, will be leading today's meeting.
I'll be deleting the meeting.
You'll be deleting the meeting. Hello, everyone.
Welcome, happy NAP week. It has been a dream of mine since we started the international position on NAP to do more collaborations like this with different countries all over the world. So I cannot even put into words how excited I am to be sharing NAP week with NAPA this year. So a big thank you to both of you.
Oh, we're delighted to be here too. Thank you so much, Colleen and Alyssa. I mean, likewise, it's a dream come true. And we were saying a positive of COVID that we've all become a bit more digitally confident, yes. Isn't it? Absolutely amazing. So thanks for having us.
True. I wanted to say we've been doing so many things on our Facebook pages with the free education and the drawings. And when I looked at the NAPA Facebook page, I was so impressed by the number of people that have sent in videos and pictures of their certificates, of sharing why they love being an activity professional, or having their bosses or other people in the field share why activities is essential, why we're a necessity. With this being the first NAP week in the UK, what are you feeling about it? Or what are you seeing when you talk to members?
I think we're quite overwhelmed, actually. I mean, I remember before the first time I met Natalie. So Natalie joined NAPA last year, and the first time I met her, she said, we really should have a week of our own celebrating activity providers in this country. And it kind of stayed with me. And then, of course, I realized that yours is well established. We all fantastic for years and years and years. And I think we thought we really wanted to start this year, particularly with a real acknowledgement of everything that activity providers have done over the last 2 years. And that coincides really well. We're 25 this year. Yay. So we're also kind of celebrating all that we've achieved and all that our sector has achieved around activity provision. So it really seems it's just the right time. It's about time. And it's the right time to really acknowledge this incredible workforce that we support and that we champion, which is activity providers and professionals here in the UK. And, Natalie's been an activity provider far more recently than me. I was hundreds of years ago. But from Natalie's point of view, Natalie, do you want to say a little bit about what this means to you?
Yeah, it is something that we champion very much over here in the UK. And, working right throughout the pandemic, similarly to all the cares teams and all the housekeeping teams and the catering teams, I just felt that we needed something to recognise the drive, the support, the stuff that happens in the background, that, we create these wellbeing programmes, or we hold these connections, or what is the purpose of that, and how do we support the individuals and celebrate the work that they do that doesn't get seen, other than the big parties, the gatherings, the group sessions, because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of effort to be able to continue that day in, day out, 7 days a week, and also provide the tools and information that staff need to continue that. So for me, from a personal perspective, having this week and seeing the response we've had to the week, it's quite emotional. It really is quite emotional, Colleen.
Yeah, it makes me teary. So thank you for sharing that. That's so wonderful. And what you said about there's so many things that happen behind the scenes. And as activity professionals and providers, we know that. But I think maybe the other departments in the building, sometimes even the residents and their families, have no idea the hours and hours of prep and organization that it takes to do these things. And maybe in the US, we have gotten a little bit stuck in focusing more on just these big group activities, or doing things that were just super powerful, lots of decorations, and which is fine. I think that's really fun, and it's great to have something like that. But during COVID, of course, we had to slow down, and we focused more on the one-on-one relationships and these tiny, small acts of kindness and engagement every single day. And I think at least my team at work, it was eye-opening to see maybe that's what residents really wanted all along, is they want this personal connection. They want these authentic everyday engagements with, of course, occasional fun big activities. But something that COVID did for us was really just slow us down, and I think help us to get our residents engaged in a level they weren't before, which is exciting.
Yeah, I think that's really important. And I think one of the things that we've heard from our members across the UK really has been that they felt a responsibility, an additional responsibility to provide that connection that was to some extent limited by the restrictions on visiting from family and friends as well. So I think the attachment and the connection was even stronger. Not that they took the place of families, of course not, but I think they felt an additional responsibility to really provide that one-to-one connection, like a visit, really, a pop in, a visit, a cup of tea, that perhaps the focus before was more on the group work. I agree with you. And that's been really lovely to see and to hear about, really, from our members, that they probably got to know their residents more than they ever thought they would during that time as well, which is a real positive. Yeah,
definitely.
And I also think that another side of that, whereas I worked right through the pandemic as an activity provider, wearing multiple hats, but I think going back to that one-to-one support, it wasn't just about us having to reconfigure what we was doing, used to entertainers, used to the community, used to families coming in. We really had to pull back and step back and think, okay, so this is the guidelines, this is the guidance. How are we going to keep that wellbeing programme continuing with the support within our settings? And also, it was a real eye-opener for me that staff really embraced, that opportunity to then work alongside us, because all of a sudden the community within the community was even stronger, and it had to be. We had to work together. We had to, be the entertainer, be the family members, and as best as we could, not replace them, of course, but as best as we could, and deliver a different kind of wellbeing programme. And there was a negative to obviously being closed for visits and everything like that, but there was also a major bonus and positivity that came out of that, which was staff were discovering that activities want a group base, bingo session or bowl session. It was about talking, sitting down, listening, supporting, one-to-one sessions, creative meals, including meals within the wellbeing programme, delivering picnic boxes, really thinking outside the box, because we had that time and because we were thrust into this situation. That I've seen that now continue through listening to people calling in for the helpline, giving us feedback, and the Support and Share Network, which is a monthly reflective practice session where other activity providers come together and they share things. And them spaces are really important because they're all sharing that knowledge. So I think there was a real positive aspect to that as well, Colleen, which, yes, it was one-to-one, but the staff really, the care staff and teams really also embraced working with the activity providers.
I think that's wonderful, because so often we might feel siloed between the different departments, between, nursing and activities and social work. And like you said, we had to work together. If we were going to continue to provide quality of life and engagement, we had to work together. And some of the caregivers, I think they initially came into the field because they wanted to spend time with residents. They didn't necessarily want to be in activities, but they wanted that rapport and that relationship. And maybe they weren't getting that in the past. And COVID, with it slowing down, really provided, I think, a more meaningful experience for some of the CNAs and the nurses as well. Yeah,
definitely.
One of the things that we struggled with, and we're extremely creative, and what you said about creativity is true. I think in the past, maybe we've had bigger ideas or things we wanted to try, but people were just like, settle down, let's just sort of keep it how it is. And we were able to try so many more things out of the box. And we wanted to keep our community engagement going, because community engagement for the residents it's just one of the most important things to them. And we really had to think outside of the box to do that. I'm wondering, did you have situations like that in the UK where you were still trying to figure out how to keep them involved in the community when the facility was shut down?
Absolutely. I think what that was one of the greatest risks, really, because there'd been such great developments in that area across care homes in the UK, connecting with local communities, that actually, in many ways, that I think for activity providers had worked really, really hard with their managers, with their setting managers, to really establish good connections with the community. And so trying to think differently, think creatively, how can we keep that going, became a real priority, I think. And I think there was a huge reliance then on embracing the tech. We wanted to get people to think differently and think creatively. And I don't know about in the States, but in the UK, perhaps the social care sector was slightly behind the health sector when it came to digital skills and using technology. And that I would imagine that there were great plans within care homes to make that happen over time, but we know that there were some real challenges in setting that up, often because of the way that the buildings were configured, all sorts of issues around IT and tech support and internet connection even. So, I think that need to be in touch with families, but also to sustain those community connections really drove care and activity teams to get that moving, and at great pace. I mean, the change was so fast.
Happened pretty quickly.
Really quickly. Yeah.
I didn't know. And Lisa, I know you're doing some consulting as well. Have you seen anything like that? Have you been utilizing technology more?
Oh, absolutely. I think technology has been our greatest asset these last couple of years. And I know it was challenging in the beginning, those of us that weren't 100% familiar with how technology worked.
Yeah.
But I know we've become old pros along the way too, to really engage in a different level. And the neat thing is that the residents or the people that we're serving, the guests that we have, they're all technology savvy. So, we're catering right to where they are, and we're meeting them at their level. And I know we've had a lot of great comments along the way too, where, people are really excited to see how this change has occurred, how we've been able to take the ability to go through the process of change, but creating all these beautiful new opportunities. And that's the key right there, is taking the opportunity and making it that. I loved what you said, Natalie, because you looked at this whole thing of COVID as being a beautiful, positive opportunity. And I think a lot of times we get so caught up in the negativity of it all and the things that we can't do anymore. And we forget to focus on all the beautiful things that now we can do. And I appreciated what you said earlier. And there was a bunch of people that commented on what you said earlier, Natalie, that, our approach has changed and how important it is that we look at that. And I love what Amy said. Amy Laughlin, she's joined us. Hi, Amy, our NAP president.
Hi, Amy.
Says, the idea of side effect of COVID restrictions being an increased sense of community. And even Giovanna is on here too. Hi, Giovanna. And she said, there's so much energy when it comes to a group of activity professionals, but also the energy that we bring as individuals into the communities is so much needed. And that's what we have to keep doing, is finding the good, finding the positivity.
Yeah, and 100%, and I love them feedback, and I can't wait to see them all later and have a good plow through and read them all. But being creative and thinking outside of the box, using technology. A prime example here was a lady that was really used to her daughters visiting. And they were really struggling to engage her through technology. Your daughter's doing a FaceTime call, and she was living with early onset dementia, and she had hearing issues, and they developed a mirroring call. So they looked at her life plan, her life history. They looked at what her and her daughter did when they visit in person, and they developed a program where they would have the same cake and tea set in front of them. So the daughter would have the same tea set, mum would have the same tea set, or they'd have the same draft board, and they would be able to mirror, so a mirror technology call. And if the daughter had images, because she used to love discussing with mum old photographs and things like that, so she brought the photographs, scanned and photocopied them into a colour image, and then she would have the original, we would sit there, but it would be blown up even bigger, enabling mum to be able to see the images more clearly. And they would sit with their plum jam cake, their cup of tea. She'd even bring cakes from Marks and Spencer's, which is quite an upmarket supermarket here in England, from Marks and Spencer's, and she would sit there and they would have the most engaging time through technology. And that's just one of the many examples that the activity providers and professionals here in the UK have been adapting to enable and continue that support. And similarly with schools, having college performances, dramatics, drama groups performing, and us knowing what the performance was beforehand and being able to supply props, to get involved and make it fun and engagement. So yeah, we've been quite restrained from not being able to see and mix with people or family, but we've also had to be really creative. And I just think there's some great examples that we hear from the helpline and within our APA group and our support and share network.
That's wonderful. I love the idea of doing the tea party that way, or just having afternoon tea. That's so beautiful. We had an issue. We work with a lot of recreational therapists or occupational therapists at the local school, and they're used to coming in and doing these internships. And at the very beginning of the pandemic, nobody was allowed in. And so we had numbers of students that weren't able to graduate because they couldn't get in and do an internship. So we worked with one of the schools to set it up through technology, very similar to what you were saying. In our memory care unit, we would set up the iPads and they would eat meals together. And like you said, they're able to mirror them. We did games, we did exercise. We met with school classes and they would send their projects, their artwork ahead of time, and then they would have a copy and talk about it during the session. And I just love that. I think it's so beautiful. And I think we'll continue.
Yeah, I love the idea of that. It's the preparation, isn't it? It's a huge amount. It's more prep, but actually the impact that has to be prepared and to have in advance the necessary objects or props or whatever it might be to really make that course successful. And even if that's 10 minutes as opposed to an hour visit, that doesn't matter. We get so caught up sometimes, don't we, on, oh, well, it only lasted 10 minutes.
Yes.
But actually, if it's a 10 minutes of quality time, that's far better than an hour of being bored stiff, isn't it?
It
and
is.
I think really kind of trying to remind people that not everything has to take a certain amount of time, that these quick 5-minute connections or calls, or yes, it might take longer to set up than the actual activity takes in practice, but that is absolutely fine, and that's really, really important. I think sometimes we do find with some of our activity providers that there is an expectation that they see a certain amount of people in a day, or there's a certain amount of activities that take place. But I think this has thrown all of that out, really, and we're thinking we have to think much more creatively about how people spend their time, including the staff, not just the people that we're supporting.
And Allison piped in and she said, would this have even happened if we never had COVID? So it's very interesting to think about, that we have to really take that into our mindset, that there is so many great things that we have been able to come from COVID. But, that's the thing. We need to be thinking like this prior to COVID too.
Right. To prepare.
Yeah.
And that, I think, as we come out of COVID and things start to change, and they are changing, that that we don't go back to just how things were, that we take with us what we've learned and we continue to embed the tech really into quality care. And I think and activity provision, because my worry is that all those skills that we've developed, all of us, all those skills that we've developed will eventually fade if we feel that, and there's no, it doesn't replace human connection. I'd love to be in a room with you, all three of you right now. Absolutely would love to, but don't get me wrong, but this is pretty good second best, isn't it? That we can do this across the other side of the world, and we could do this. It's pretty amazing. That and that can become part of our working day, as well as our personal life, that we're seeing this as something that connects us, and that's got to be the same, really, hasn't it, for the people that we support.
It does. I think I've been in the field about 20 years, and like you said, we learned so much, and I catch myself almost falling back into the same habits of the same things that I was doing before the pandemic. So you're absolutely right. Yeah. It's taking a few times each week to stop and look at what you're doing, and is this best for the residents? Yeah. Is this what we should do? And I think it will be changing and providing education to administrators and to families and to other people so that they understand that this change is a good thing, that this is actually providing better quality of life. But I think that's something that we'll really have to work on in the next year too, is so that they understand just because you see a calendar and there's not 5 group activities on it doesn't mean that there's not engagement, that there's not quality of life.
Absolutely, absolutely. That is really key, isn't it? And we've got to, I think, keep having those conversations really, and and challenging that expectation, because it isn't helpful. It really isn't helpful. And I think it sets up an expectation sometimes with families as well around, well, what's mum been doing, or what's my partner been doing, what have they been up to? You know, did they take part in that activity? Did they go on that trip? Well, actually, no, they didn't. But this is what they did do. This is how they did spend their time, because this is what they wanted to do, and how they felt engaged. So, you know, I think we were moving towards a more one-to-one type approach, or smaller group type approach before COVID. I think that was happening to some extent because of the nature of the care and support needs that people have now that live in long-term care in the UK, particularly in residential care homes. But I think this has just taken us that step further. Definitely.
And we're certainly hearing more around that individually led wellbeing program, you know, activity program, whatever title you want to give it, but the basis of that is individually led. You know, and there's a lot more understanding around the fact that daily living, you know, living skills, so vegetable peeling, helping make a cup of tea, they're all now being seen as classed as an activity. Yes, we still have the group core activity programs that are giving people a choice and an option, but it's really interesting, the conversations that I'm having with activity providers and professionals around the understanding through COVID, that through the pandemic, that folding the laundry, folding the washing is partaking in an activity, you know, and it really excites me, because something I've championed all my years working as an activity provider is, if someone's taking out the rubbish, if someone's peeling potatoes throughout the afternoon, if someone's just sort of chopping carrots, why is that not seen as activity? Because when you're at home, when you live in your own home, which is what they were doing yesterday, most probably, they would have been preparing tea. They would have been taking out the rubbish. They would have been doing the laundry, you know, because that's what I do. I don't sit every single day and think, oh, I'm going to go and join an exercise class this morning, and in the afternoon I'm going to go painting. You know, I might do something like that once a week, and that's because I'm literally running my life, I'm running my family's life, and the majority of people want that, walking a dog, cleaning the parrot out, you know, the budget. And it excites me, as you can hear, it really excites me that because we had to draw everything back, that became more relevant and was utilised more than this big group activity programme. So individual led activities is what we should be championing more of.
Yeah, it's a continuation of life skills. And that's why it's so meaningful. That's why it's quality of life, is it's what you've done in the past, and now you're just in a different home. It's still your home. So you still need to have meaning. You still need to continue to do the things that you were. Yeah, thank you. That's really well said.
And I can't believe so many differences in the States to the UK.
We may be
There's more similarities than differences.
I think that's the beautiful thing. Hillary and I have both been in the global leaders calls, and so we're talking to people in Australia and New Zealand and the UK and Japan, and what we're finding out is we're all the same. We're all people. We all need quality of life and engagement, and so there's some things that are different, but even through these vast differences, so much is the same. Absolutely.
And you know, the things that enhance people's mood generally and give people a sense of satisfaction and contentment, feelings of being connected to the people that they love, new people as well, not just people they've always loved, but people that they might come to love. You know, that's what we all need, isn't it? At the end of the day, that regardless of where you are in the world, that's absolutely what we all need. And that's been quite powerful, I think. Again, the Leaders Network that has flourished because we can meet online at different times of the day or night. It's another lovely example. And in fact, we've got a fantastic event coming up, haven't we, Colleen?
We do. We have the International Knowledge Exchange, and this is something we've been working on for months. And so we have global leaders that are in the recreation and the activity field from all over the world are going to be coming on, and each day a different country and a different person is going to be talking about what activities or what recreation is in their country. And it's been fascinating because we've seen this on a smaller scale during our monthly meetings to see the similarities and the differences. And this is free, which is amazing. It's at the end of February, every single day, there'll be a different session. And then the last session is a panel, and it will be all of us together. And I'm excited for the panel because, again, I think that is going to show so many of the things that we do that are the same.
Absolutely.
And it gives you this feeling of connection. We have a hard job, and this last couple of years has been really stressful. So to be able to connect with people all over the world has been such a wonderful support. And so I hope our members or our attendees feel that if they sign up for the International Knowledge Exchange.
Yeah, please do. Please sign up. I think it will be interesting. And I think also even though we've got a lot in common, we're also learning a lot from each other, right? In terms of kind of the different areas where we're a bit ahead of each other, or we've been thinking differently about activity and engagement and recreation, and that's really exciting. I think that's what gets me to the meetings at 3 a.m.
I know Hillary's been kind of unlucky the last couple of calls, and you have just been in on crazy time. So thank you for doing that.
It's my pleasure. Love it. My pleasure.
But I look up and it looks like we've only got 3 minutes left, and I think we need to pick
some winners,
some winners. Winner, chicken dinner.
Well, I'm going to tell you who's logged in so you can have an idea of where people are calling from. We have people calling from Kansas, or logging in from Kansas, Wisconsin, South Carolina. We have the UK, Kent, UK, Devon, UK, Newcastle, UK, Florida, North Carolina, Michigan. We have a lot of great individuals that have joined us for the live version. And I think that's really important that, this will be available for replay at any time. It will be up on our YouTube channel. And I know NAPA will be sharing the link as well. And so anybody can watch it at a later time, but we do need to have our raffle. I couldn't remember how many Amazon gift cards are we raffling again, ladies? I couldn't remember.
I thought we were going to do 2 from each of us.
2 from each.
250. Okay. So 4 $50 Amazon
cards. 4 total. Okay, so let me get the raffle meter going over here.
Okay.
Let me figure this out here. And if you are a winner, you do need to reach out to Colleen at international@naap.info. I'll put that in the chat box, and that you'll be able to access that. So let me just do this little.
We're hoping there's a good balance between UK and US.
All right. So winner number 1, thank you, Amy, for the drum roll. Appreciate it, is Sarah Maas from Kent. Sarah.
Oh, all right.
Congratulations, Sarah.
Nice.
The next winner is, we have Emma from Orlando, Florida.
Oh, all right.
Emma, congratulations. Congratulations. And our next winner is...
Like that drum roll.
There's a better one, right? We have Gary Lee from Newcastle.
Oh!
Congratulations, Gary. Congratulations, Sarah. Congratulations, Emma. And I think we need one more winner, right? Our last winner then is Sarah Curry from North Carolina. Now, Sarah, the interesting thing is Sarah actually works in South Carolina, but she's calling from home because she is at home with COVID. So what a way to win,
I'm so glad that she won.
So I will type in the winners' names once again with Colleen's email address. Amy just said hi again on the chat, so that's why. And we will get that distributed. You will get your $50 Amazon gift card. So it is amazing how it worked out that we had 2 winners from each of our countries, so that you will get $50 for sure in whatever your country's monetary equivalent is, whether it be US dollars or Euro dollars. You will get $50 to spend at Amazon. So how exciting is that, right? So I will send all of our winners there, and you will get that information out to you so that you can get your gift cards right away.
That sounds great,
everybody. So why don't you wrap it up with some final thoughts, ladies, if you don't mind?
Ooh, final thoughts. Hillary, would you like to go first?
Final thoughts for me is that we think that everybody is absolutely fabulous. So please come along tomorrow, 3 o'clock GMT time, for our absolutely fabulous party. This is for you. We've got an amazing ABBA tribute band called ABBA Revival. So get dressed up, bring your families, the people that you support, and your colleagues. Just get online, get your ticket. It's completely free, and we're going to have a great time. So let's really celebrate all these absolutely fabulous activity providers out there.
Love it. Want to go next?
Oh, sorry, did you say me then, Colleen?
Really?
Yeah.
Sorry, I missed me. I'm here. I'm not frozen. The powers of technology. I just want to say a massive thank you to each and every single one of you. I have the pleasure of hearing the fantastic things that you're doing, and I know sometimes you feel like you're on your own out there, and we are in a big ocean, but there is a famous saying, isn't there? We're all in a big ocean, but we're all in different boats. It doesn't mean that there's not someone rowing just as hard next to you. So come to things like this, reach out, get involved with anything that you can get hold of webinar wise, and connect, because the biggest thing, the biggest power in the world is connection.
Yes.
You know, so I'll leave that with you. Keep doing what you're doing. You're amazing.
That's really beautiful. For me, I think I'm just so happy about this collaboration. I'm so excited to be connecting with different countries and celebrating. And I think please just stay tuned to the NAPA and the NAP Facebook, to our websites, because I think we're going to be doing really fun things like this all year long. And that's a great way to validate and to get inspired and to stay involved.
Beautifully said. Happy anniversary to NAPA, 25 years. In
Yes.
the Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
For that milestone, and happy anniversary to NAP, 40 years in the making. And what a fabulous thing. So what I say to navigating the future is just keep rowing in your boats, right, Natalie? Well said. Well said. So thank you, everybody, once again for joining us, and we will be back again, and look for all this exciting information about the IKE that's coming up the end of February, and learning more about how you can be a part of the international movement of activity professionals and providers. And thanks again for joining us, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.